Due to the Trump virus, YSGOAT has been forced to evacuate. Rob Israel and Joseph K. have been separated into their own caves where they can only communicate through Skype, so the podcast sounds like shit. Thanks, Trump. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still gun on about
that?
All right, Joseph, before we get into the movie that we're going to talk about this week, what's that movie called?
Parents.
Starring the legend
Randy Quaid.
Yes. A totally normal guy.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing weird about him.
Nope.
I don't know why we're even bother. Why are we even talking about him?
Unremarkable in every way.
Yeah, he's just a regular Joe. A regular Joe. Regular yes. Joe was absolutely fucking insane. But before we get into that, we need to thank. We have 3 Patreon members. We started a Patreon last week.
Yeah.
We gotta do. I see other people do this. If you have a Patreon, you gotta thank the people. Hopefully, our goal is that the whole episode is just us thanking people, and then we don't ever talk about anything. That right. Let's release the whole episode. We're like, but right now we just got 3 people to thank. Andy, Lana, and Crimson.
Yes, right.
These are all great names.
Yes.
Andy being the weirdest.
Yeah, what a psycho.
We want to thank you guys, and we hope to grow this. By the next Patreon, we could thank maybe 3 more at least.
Yeah.
But, really check it out. Right now we have we're going to be slowly releasing our older episodes, and we're putting in new introductions. We have a weekly bonus show we do just for the Patreon that touches on more current events, what's going on. We'll do maybe like a mini review. If you go on there now, our most recent one, if you sign up today, our most recent one is on The Lighthouse.
Yes.
The real-world SpongeBob movie, as I would call it, starring William Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. We also... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I really enjoyed doing that. It was like the perfect amount of time. Like, we watched The Lighthouse. We both kind of agreed that we really wanted to talk about it, but it didn't warrant an entire long episode. And that was like a really cool... What was it, like 25-minute conversation about The Lighthouse, and I thought it hit that sweet spot for me.
The bonus episode's about 70 minutes long, the most recent one. We have another one from the week before. Plus, we also start, it'll be like something we're going to touch on every week, different themes and discussions from Twin Peaks. I recently watched the entire series on Netflix, plus the return on Showtime. I still need to see the movie Fire Walk with Me, so
yes,
I'll get to that. But we'll be talking about Twin Peaks every week. Maybe we'll touch on other shows. If you become a Patreon member, you can leave comments and stuff, and make suggestions. It's like you guys have become a producer of our show, basically.
Yeah.
Is that what we're calling it, producer?
Well, I think, we can go, I have no problem calling it producer. I think it's really cool, like the idea of a Patreon community in which people, feel comfortable, like texting in and suggesting things and kind of being a part of it. That's kind of what the private show is in my head, or what I'd like it to become, is this kind of, ongoing conversation in which we all have a part of it. I think that'd be really cool.
So check it out. We have the link on our Instagram and on our Facebook. Basically just was a Patreon YSGOAT.
Yeah. You
can find it that way as well. But we'll still be releasing the regular episode every week, so you'll still hear this, and every week we'll be talking about our Patreon. But just to wrap it up quick before we get to parents, with our Patreon. So the way we're planning is you get each week, starting on Monday, you get the episode that we're doing right now, you get it earlier. You get it a couple of days or 2 to 3 days before everyone else does.
Mm-hmm.
On Wednesday, you will get our bonus episode, bonus material, the current events, the mini reviews. And then every Friday, you will get an archived episode with a new introduction. So, I mean, the way we schedule these things, this will be up already, but the next one, we have Back to the Future up right now. We're going to have Ghostbusters up Friday, even though if you guys are hearing this, it's really last Friday.
True.
A little Back to the Future there.
Yeah, a little meta. That got a little meta.
But you'll see that if you sign up, you'll see, so every day, almost every day, we're putting new content on there. And, we'll have some other surprises on there. And, so check it out, sign up, become a supporter. Really
it should be real
it.
fun.
All right, well, speaking of fun, the movie, is it 88 or 89?
I got 1989.
Okay, yeah, it's late 80s. It's I didn't realize who so the movie's Parents. Now, from what I remember about this movie always had a special place in my heart growing up. Now, it's a little weird, but it was one of those movies that I would see trailers for all the time. And I was super excited to see it. The way they advertised it, it looked like a wacky, zany comedy that was kind of a horror movie. It had Randy Quaid. I loved him from the Vacation movies. And I remember watching what?
Wasn't he in Kingpins? Wasn't that out before that?
That's years later, dude.
Oh, was
Kingpin
it?
Came out in the 90s. This is pre. Yeah, you're jumping the gun there. Mm-hmm. Randy Quaid, he's in a shit ton of stuff already, but the one thing I do remember him from was he had a very short stint on SNL. In the 80s, Saturday Night Live was going through some weird shit where what's the producer's name of Saturday Night Live? The famous
Lorne
Michaels was off the show, and like NBC was going to cancel it supposedly. It was like on already like 10 years at this point. And I think from what I remember as a kid, when my parents started letting me watch it was around 1986. They let me watch Saturday Night Live when it was on Saturday, even though I was a little kid. Mm-hmm. And I remember 86 very well because, again, it was the first year I got to really watch it. But it's also a very odd year in Saturday Night Live because, well, Randy Quaid was on it, and like 1,000 other people were on it too.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. was on it.
Wasn't Anthony Michael Hall?
Yeah. They were like a weird team back then. Like they were doing Weird Science. They did like some football movie together, and I don't know. Johnny Be Good.
Was it Varsity Blues? Was that the movie?
No, Johnny Be Good, I think. Varsity Blues is the one with the guy from Dawson's Creek.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, you're time traveling.
Must be.
It's like you're in an episode of Westworld. You don't know what time it is. But I remember Randy Quaid well from Saturday Night Live. Of course, he just played a big weirdo. He's like one of those actors who can play very serious and very funny. And he, on Saturday Night Live, I remember him playing Reagan. And I remember him doing like, I don't know, but one of my favorite skits growing up that freaked the fuck out of me, and you can probably find it on YouTube or whatever. It was a game show, and he hosts Saturday Night Live. He hosts the game. He's the game show host. It's called Digits, and the whole premise of this game show. And I haven't seen this since I saw this as a child. I remember this. I could be making this up for all I know right now. Maybe the skit doesn't exist. And I had some nightmarish fever dream of Randy Quaid when I was a child. He was a game show host, and the whole premise was everyone's hands were like in little guillotines, and if you got a question wrong, you lost a digit.
Oh, jeez.
And they would just show people like blood coming out, and like people would get it wrong, and Randy Quaid would be like, "Oh, you got the answer wrong," with his like big.
Oh yeah, I do not remember that.
And like the best is like when it cuts real close to the knuckle, and it just blood everywhere. And you see like, and here's our past winners, and they would show people like with their hands, and they're just missing tips. And the whole thing was called digits, and I remember that left a lasting imprint on me as a child.
Yeah, I'll bet.
When I think of Randy Quaid, I think of that skit from Saturday Night Live.
Jeez.
And before we get into Randy Quaid even more, I had a hot debate with my wife here.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the right terminology to use, about digits on a finger.
Okay.
You're a doctor, right?
Correct.
Right. Can you treat people or not? Like
I cannot.
Okay, good. Well, that's fine.
It's a research degree. It's
you
not
can still go on Fox News and make all kinds of claims like Dr. Phil. Digits on a fingers. Is a finger a digit, or is a digit the segments on your finger?
See, I think the entire finger is a digit.
See, on the show Digits, though, this is where I got the skit on Saturday Night Live was you lost a digit, meaning you lost a
segment, yeah.
A segment. I always thought that a digit on your was each finger having 1, 2, 3 on your finger, so you had 3 digits per finger.
Yeah, I don't know,
man. Has 2. Now I'm sure I could Google what the exact definition is, but
that may be one of those mysteries best left unsolved.
I'd rather just let's keep it unsolved. So I always think of Randy Quaid and that skit from Saturday Night Live. And so I saw the preview for Parents. And Parents is I guess we were talking about a movie called Parents. I didn't realize it was directed by Bob Balaban.
Yeah.
Who a lot of you probably seen from Saturday Night Live. See, he was the NBC exec when they were going to make a show, and he was obsessed with Elaine. He becomes obsessed with her.
Yes.
And you probably seen him in Mr. Show and all the Christopher Guest movies. He's one of these he always plays like a professor or a rich guy or some kind of educated person.
Yeah, I never saw the show, but apparently he had a recurring role on Friends.
Oh, I don't know. I watched enough of Friends, but not enough to know Bob Balaban was on it.
I think enough people have seen enough TV so that this is a recognizable guy,
Yeah, but he's also a writer and a film director, and this is a movie he made. And like I said, it's interesting because we talked about Vampire's Kiss.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a good follow-up to Vampire's Kiss, Parents, because one, it comes out around the same time, late 80s. It's another weird movie where the studio, it kind of ruins the movie. The studio doesn't know what to do with the film, so they advertise it as a comedy. And the movie, just like Vampire's Kiss, it's not very funny.
No.
It's very disturbing.
Very.
It's a horror movie.
It is.
I would say that Parents I wouldn't say it's a masterpiece, but I would say on a horror level and everything, it's almost on par with The Shining.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Some of the scenes.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. If you look at the box, the original packaging, the movie poster, it looks like a screwball comedy. I mean, it really does. It looks like it's going to be kind of maybe at worst, a Tim Burton surreal horror comedy.
Yeah.
But it's a straight up horror movie. There's very little funny in it. There's hardly any funny stuff in it, to be honest.
No, Randy Quaid is, he's wacky to look at because he's a big goon, but he's disturbing in the movie.
But you only think he's funny because he's Randy Quaid. Like, if you didn't know anything about Randy Quaid, you'd be thinking he was like a Ted Bundy caliber serial killer. I mean,
Ed Gaines.
Yeah, really.
Fucking Pogo the Clown.
So let me run down the cast real quick. You had the guy directed it, Bob Balaban. And he went on to do Erie, Indiana, which is kind of thematically similar to Parents, the way I see it.
I never got into that show. I think I tried, and it was only on like one season.
I think it was too young for the people who were really interested in watching something like that. You know,
again, it's like bad marketing.
Yeah.
They sold the Erie, Indiana as like a kid's show, but it was like too dark
right.
and not fast paced enough to be a kid's show.
Yeah.
But since
what
it
was that one?
What
was that show Sean Cassidy did? It was something like Erie, Indiana. Do you remember that?
Sean Cassidy?
Yeah, the singer, the old 70s singer. He produced a lot of sci-fi, Sean Cassidy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll think of it later. But I had Mary Beth Hurt, who was in The World According to Garp, if I remember right.
Okay.
And she was like a pretty well-established actress. That was the mom. It had Sandy Dennis as the school social worker, psychologist, whatever. And
I recognize her from some things.
Yep, she had a long career in Broadway and in film and stuff, some pretty established roles. And then the kid, I don't think he ever did anything else again, Brian Modorsky, but yeah, he was really good as that freaky little kid.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like a Red Rummish thing going on. I mean, there's like different ways to look at the movie. It's like there's like a lot of, so the plot's really simple. I mean, we're not going to do a straight through recap. I'll just tell you right off the bat, just get the recap out of the way. They basically moved into a town, right? They're kind of new. It's the 50s. He's an only child. Randy Quaid and Mary Beth Hurt are the parents. And they always, like, he doesn't want to eat meat ever. That's a big part of the plot. Like, he could just be a vegetarian. But there's like more to it than that. There's like it's almost like deep down he knows why he doesn't want to eat the meat. One, the meat looks disgusting the way they're really showing it. It's definitely not a good meat, like a good commercial for meat. It's kind of like the one thing I forgot to say when we talked about, if you listen to our Patreon episode, The Lighthouse. I would say The Lighthouse was definitely not a like I want to go sign up and work for a lighthouse.
No.
I would say with parents, if you want to get somebody to like not eat meat, this is a good movie.
It is. This was not approved by the Beef Council.
No, I don't think they're like, ooh, perfect. But I think they want to show you there was something wrong with it. Like there's something up. So, the dad's like a weird, like he's like a 50s dad. The mom's a 50s mom. And the kid's definitely like a little different. He's not like them. Or he's definitely not like the dad. The dad even says that later on.
Yeah.
Like, flips out on him. He's like, you're not like me. You don't look like me. You don't talk like me. Or something like that. And we could get into that later. Like, what is that about? Like, is it like, kids grew up in the 50s. They all became like hippies in the 60s.
There is something there, yeah.
A huge generational change because kid's a fucking boomer. The dad probably fought in World War II, it's like, or, and he suspects something's going on with his parents. Like he suspects, and spoilers, guys, we're spoiling this movie. So go watch it. It's on we saw it. You can get it on Amazon Prime. It's available on Blu-ray. He suspects something's up. So he follows his dad to his job, and what his dad does, we'll get into that later, more detail. But for some reason, there's basically like a morgue there, and he's able to. The son basically sees him, like, from what it looks like, taking the meat home, and by the meat, it being human.
Oh, dude!
So you realize the parents are basically cannibals,
right?
And what else? I mean,
that's the story basically. When Dad said he's swinging by Five Guys for dinner, he's bringing home. Yeah, well, it is. I will say that it is really cool aesthetically. The opening few minutes show you these kind of cookie cutter mid-century modern homes. There's like a nice aerial shot where you see planned communities, and you get like a real quick sense of, oh, this is a particular time in American history when things got modernized and it was post-war and it was conformity, and it really was a striking, great opening scene, I thought. Really well done.
I told my wife, she's obsessed with mid-century like architecture and
Yes.
like furniture and stuff. I said, I recommend this movie to you. Not really for the actual movie, but that it's mid-century porn for you. Not like,
It is.
even though there is some scenes in this, but
Well,
but I mean, like on an architecture, like the house they live in and everything. Like she loves that shit.
oh yeah. And it's really well done. And honestly, that's not my bag, but I kind of like that kind of thing. And I noticed that all the way through the movie. It was really, really well done and very.
It's just like it's one of these movies that I kind of blame marketing. Marketing ruined the movie in a way.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't say this is not the best movie you're gonna see.
No.
It's definitely worth watching in that like there's more to it than that. But marketing made it like it's like they didn't know how to sell it. It's like they knew it's like you got Randy Quaid in, and he's known for being Cousin Eddie, even though he's been in some actual dramatic things. But they were like, we got to try to sell this as a zany comedy, and even though it's like, I wouldn't say it's funny. I mean, it's like one of those like they advertise as a horror movie, and we watched it, we'd be like, oh yeah, that's kind of funny. But you go into it, and I just remember as a kid, I watched it. I think I must have rented it or something. I know I didn't see it in the theater, but I just remember seeing it and being very disturbed by it.
It's really scary. It was. I remember seeing it, and I think I saw it first on video too. I don't think I saw it in the theaters.
It made no money. It was a complete bomb. It didn't even make $1 million.
It was really unsettling. I think the thing that was most unsettling is there's something. Remember in like the original Night of the Living Dead, the Romero movie, where they talked about the thing that was most unsettling to everyone is when like the girl killed her mom. Like the girl turned into a zombie and killed her mom, and they said that it was just so unnatural to see a daughter kill a mother. That's just like against nature, that to have family members killing. Well, in reality, like that's why Casey Anthony is like fascinating, because it's like against nature that you would do that to your own child. But this one was super unsettling because like the kid knew that the parents would never get him, and he would never get the parents, and the parents were like leading him into cannibalism, and it was just like it was very unnatural in just the basic sense of how we understand the world to be.
This is just some fucking vegan propaganda bullshit. Kid was clearly a soy boy cuck, libtard snowflake. Dad was a beef eating American hero, 50s dad.
Those scenes where he's grilling meats.
He worked for a company that made chemicals, and I love obviously I'm joking, but the part when what did the dad do? Did he make like basically germ warfare?
He made Agent Orange, basically. He made a chemical that would deforest places.
Yeah, they're talking, there's a scene when he's at the job and he's talking to, there's another scene later, but I guess he's talking to like his boss or whatever, and basically talking about like whatever he's making would destroy the vegetation.
Yep.
Basically, the equivalent of like poisoning a well, like killing crops pretty much.
Right. If this is in the 1950s, he's making like Agent Orange and napalm and stuff for them to eventually use in Vietnam.
Yeah, no, it's kind of funny. It's like when I was like watching that, I was like thinking of Defense from
Falling Down.
Yeah, because he worked for like Lockheed Martin or whatever, or Halliburton. Like it was like some type of company that was
Well,
involved with weapon manufacturing.
when did Falling Down come out? Was that 1989?
No, it was the 90s. It was
right.
like, it came out literally like not too far after LA riots.
Yeah, you're right. That was like, must have been 92, 93.
Something like that. Yeah. No, this movie is like it just like captures the 50s, and we think like, the perfect family structure, but everything's not perfect. Like right from the beginning, there's something like he's like scared to go to bed, and like Randy Quaid says to him all this like weird shit to him about like can't escape. There's one place you can go. Turn off the lights forever. I don't know what he said. Like your mind is the place that you can escape in the dark.
Yeah, and then he starts talking about how the mind is the scariest place of all, or something. I don't know. It was super crazy. And Randy Quaid. Look, Randy Quaid is a complete lunatic, but he was really good in this as like a straight scary actor. Any comic relief that was in there was only because you knew he was Randy Quaid.
Yeah, you knew he was Cousin Eddie, and that's probably why the studio was like, listen, we're not going to be able to sell this as like Jack Torrance Shining,
Right.
Even though the joke is that didn't like The Shining kind of like bomb when it came out? It wasn't until it's like one of those movies that like became bigger over time. It was because we saw it on HBO a lot. We saw it on like growing up. It was on cable time. We saw it.
It definitely got mixed critical reaction at first. I remember when it came out not liking it, but mostly because I was told it wasn't a good movie. But I've really come to love, that's one of my favorite movies, like cinematically, is The Shining. I think that's great.
As an actor and stuff, you see Jack Nicholson, and you believe him to be a man who possesses something that would harm you, or like get like there's power. Randy Quaid can do that too, but just the roles that he's chosen, over all the different kinds of roles he's chosen in the Cousin Eddie role, I think the studio is like, yeah, we don't see him as like a force of nature. We're just gonna make this into a wacky movie starring Randy Quaid, and he might eat humans, and we'll play.
You have to imagine that somewhere out there's an edit of Parents in which they coaxed Randy Quaid into saying "shitter's full" or something. Like
yeah, I can't say it, even though I could be wrong line, but this came out before Christmas Vacation. Actually, little known fact that I just made up. Randy Quaid came running out of his trailer while making Parents, screaming, "Shitter's full, shitter's full." And one of the people wrote that down, who happened to end up working on Christmas Vacation.
In a different context, that would be really funny. We got to repurpose that line. Well, here, I wrote down a few movies, and let me tell you the movies that this movie reminds me of, and they came out in this order. And I think you'll see what I mean in a second. Parents came out in 1989, and this reminds me of all these movies that kind of came out right in a row. Invaders from Mars, 86. Blue Velvet, 86. They Live, 88. Society, 89. Twin Peaks, 90. I think they're all kind of in that ballpark of not conspiracy theory, but like that weird, and we've talked about this before in a bunch of different episodes, what you see isn't real. And you have this vague, uneasy feeling that it's not as it should be. And as you start to peel back the layer or the sticker or whatever, then you realize, no, I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't crazy. The world really is super fucked up, I think of all these, this reminds me of Twin Peaks the most. I mean, not Twin Peaks, Blue Velvet. It has a real Blue Velvet vibe. There's even
the part when the dad said, when Randy Quaid said, "Daddy likes to fuck," or whatever, "Baby likes to fuck."
Well, I don't know. There's that scene where, think about it, the scene where the kid jumps into the bed with blood.
Yeah, I was gonna say that actually. Like right after he has that conversation with his dad, he like it gets all weird, and he like jumps into his bed.
Yep.
But as he jumps into the bed, the camera like changes like a little bit, and the bed starts to like sink into blood, and then he's in a big giant pool of blood, and that's like the first 10 minutes in a movie or something.
Yeah.
It's clear on. You're just like, what the fuck am I watching here?
Yeah, it comes kind of out of left field, and it's really well done because at that point, if you haven't heard anything about the movie, it's hard to tell if the kid is a little crazy, because the kid looks a little crazy in the beginning, or if he's really traumatized because of what he really sees, which is that the parents really are cannibals. But
so yeah, he has like drawings and stuff that are kind of weird. They sent to the school therapist.
Yeah.
And somebody like, I was like watching a review of this movie. I wanted to like see, and like somebody pointed out something, which I thought was kind of odd. They thought it was weird that this therapist looked like that, even though the movie took place in the 50s. I'm like, not everyone looked like fucking Randy Quaid in the 50s. Like, there were bohemian types back then. It made sense. I thought the way this lady looked was on par with that time period. There was a beatnik generation and all that stuff. I mean, like she, the hippie movement didn't just plop out of its ass in 1 second. It took years of evolving, and it was always a bohemian type look.
Jazz, beatnik, subculture.
Yeah, I wasn't shocked, fucking Maynard G. Krebs.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like in the 50s, you either look like Randy Quaid, Fonzie, or Maynard G. Krebs.
Or Nick Flanders' parents.
Yes, you just picked one, and then that was the vibe you went with. So she was a Maynard G. Krebs.
I always got Tom Bosley. Mr. C.
Mr. C.
I'm always selling glad bags.
Cartoon. Yeah.
Fancy.
Well,
hey, Mr. C.
So, but it reminds me a lot of Blue Velvet. And there's that other scene where the parents, remember he was like the kid was talking to his shrink, and he was remembering a time in which you think he saw his parents having sex, but they're like biting each other and there's blood everywhere, the mom and the dad. And it's kind of like, there's a lot of like David Lynchian scenes in this movie.
When he walks in, like he wakes up in the middle of the night, like kids do sometimes, and like comes out and he's like, I'm thirsty. And he sees like his parents having some real nasty, aggressive sex. And the mom like gets up, and like her lipstick is weird. It's like something weird. The dad's a good bird. And like they're just covered in sweat. It's really gross. It's like
meat sweat.
Well, there's like different theories of people like were they eating human flesh, or is it just like a little kid sees sex and is just like, I don't know what this is, and that's what the kid sees. Like you're kind of seeing like how he sees, like what is dad doing to mom, like
right,
what is going on here. So it's like one of those weird, like something's up, but at the same time it's like the way it's shot and it's shown, it could just be from this kid's point of view too, just kind of waking up and being like a state of shock, like what's dad doing to mom,
Yeah, it's weird because you mostly see it. I mean, it's not through the kid's perspective, but there's a few scenes where you actually take on the kid's perspective. Like when Randy Quaid scoops him up and takes him off to bed, you see the camera becomes like the kid's eyes. You see the world through his eyes. And it's not like he's an unreliable narrator, but I guess he is an unreliable narrator. You can't tell if what you're being shown is real or not until I think the first time you really know it's real is when the kid's in the basement and he sees that leg on a meat hook. It's like a woman's leg on a meat hook. And at that point, he's like, it's weird because he sees it and then he scampers away. And he's almost not even surprised. Like, if I had not known what this movie was really about, I think I might have been surprised. I might have been like, oh shit, he's not crazy. They really are cannibals. But the kid is like, no, this is exactly what I thought was going on. And he just kind of leaves the basement.
Yeah, he's like befriends that girl who's like clearly like a little more mature than him.
Yeah.
That's the boss's daughter too, and like
Down at the Toxico.
Yeah, I love the name of the company, Toxico. When they just call it Murder Co. or something. Right. Germ Warfaro.
Right. Here at Pollutrix,
I just love when the boss is telling the kid, like, chemicals is how you do this. It could be your car, it could be this. And
that was the deal in the 50s. Chemicals were going to save our lives, right? That's how we get the food, pills, and jetpacks.
Right. Now we have Elon Musk.
Yeah. Well, it was the one criticism I read about this film is, and I think you and I watched, you told me to watch the Siskel and Ebert review of it, which I did.
Yeah, mandatory for every.
Yeah. Well, I liked them. Ebert did not like it, and Siskel liked it.
What was Ebert's reason for not liking it? Did he just not like it because it?
He said it was relentlessly unpleasant, that it was just very dismal. And I think and this is the common complaint I heard, one of the common complaints is, it seemed like it was satirizing something, but it didn't really clearly show what it was satirizing. I mean, was it satirizing how parents don't get their kids? Was it satirizing the 50s? Was it, it's hard to say exactly the point the movie was trying to make.
It is a little scatterbrained, but like I said, I do blame the marketing behind it. In that they, again, I'm sure Ebert and Siskel, whatever, were, presenting the movie. They read the synopsis and probably was labeled as dark comedy. And Ebert probably watched it and went, well, that's not funny.
Well,
and Siskel actually enjoyed it.
Yes, which was weird. Someone brought up, did you ever see that movie Eating Raoul?
I know what you're talking about, but I don't think I've ever seen it.
I saw it on VHS tape a million years ago. There were a few cannibal comedies around that time.
Delicatessen?
Yeah. Oh, well, Delicatessen came out much later, and that was a very unsettling movie. I think Parents was more like Delicatessen in that it was kind of grim and bleak. Eating Raoul was more of a screwball comedy. That was like a little crazy. The other complaint I heard about this movie is that, and I don't know that I agree with this, is that they said the pacing was a little slow.
I know it's an hour and 20-minute movie, but it does not. It doesn't move that fast.
Well, it is weird to say that there's a movie that's an hour and 20 minutes that is slow, but this guy, the director, I guess directed some of the 80s revival Twilight Zones, and he directed something to do with like a creep show revival or something. And a lot of people said this would have made a perfect hour-long TV episode.
Honestly, it could have been a half hour. You could have. No, I mean, you could have. I mean, the story itself is not that complicated. The kid thinks his parents he suspects something with his parents, and then guess what? His parents eat meat, and then you find, we didn't even get to the end yet, but like, his parents are cannibals, and it's like weird because it's like the way the movie was advertised. I thought it would be more like they were like literal monsters,
right?
Like cartoonish monsters, but they were just. I mean, they were monsters. They just weren't. They weren't cartoonish. They were real monsters.
Well, it's weird.
It's the best way I can describe it.
If you think about it,
I mean, they were still human. They didn't possess superpowers or anything.
And there's some weird stuff like, okay, so they had a nice house and a nice car, right? But it was modest. I mean, they weren't like get rich people.
The dad's always playing golf. He always has a fucking golf club. He's playing mini putt in his yard. He's playing it in his living room.
But the mom and the dad seem to get along. They have a good relationship.
Yep.
And when the kid doesn't brush his teeth, the dad gets on him about brushing his teeth. And they seem to the only weird thing is they eat people, right? And I didn't get the impression initially that they killed people. I think he kind of harvested corpses.
Well, didn't they kill the therapist?
They did, but that's only because the therapist found out they were eating people.
Oh, that's fine. That makes it okay.
No, I mean there's still monsters, but like.
Do you maybe get the impression that they had to move?
Yeah.
Because they might have.
Yeah, but that's like, let's say you work at Toxico, Pennsylvania branch.
And you used to work at like Shitco, New Jersey.
Right. Well, let's say they just noticed that they're missing some dudes in the cadaver room. Then you got to move, you know. But like, if he's, this is getting in a weird space, but like, if he's just eating people that are already dead, and he's a decent enough guy otherwise, I mean, it's not like I want him as my neighbor or anything, but like, I guess I'm just seeing like, where's the harm? You know, where's the.
So the kid, you know, obviously he goes, it gets towards the end, you know, he pretty much convinces his therapist that there's something up with his parents. Therapist sees the I guess the leg or whatever. Like
there's like a weird thing where she sees a rat and then she like moves the rat and a body falls like from a window or a ceiling. Like she discovers a body.
So then eventually, like towards the end, he's able to like, you can tell me like, so after the therapist is obviously, you know, taken care of, then what happens next? They're eating or something, and they're trying to get him to eat.
Well, the therapist, let me just rewind to the therapist scene. I don't think we ever see who kills the therapist, right?
I don't think so.
Like the kid gets freaked out and runs up to his bedroom and crawls into bed. And the therapist is like trying to go into the kitchen, and then someone shoves her into the closet. And then they basically kill her. There's a terrible scene where they thrust a knife in and she grabs the knife and they pull it out. But I don't think it's a weird choice because, like, why don't they just show Randy Quaid killing the therapist? But they never show, and then the therapist is gone. And you're right. Then they
implying that maybe the kid did it?
I have no idea. I don't think so because I don't think so, but like it's hard. I don't know why they didn't show Randy Quaid killing her, you know?
So then they're eating, right? And like I said, the kid ends up stabbing his dad, and then like what happens to the mom? The mom
gets killed trying to defend the dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a fluke. I don't think anyone meant to kill the mom, but that's what happens.
And then, you know, he's going after him in the wine cellar. Like, he has like this wine cellar. Of course, it falls on him. And,
yep.
And like I said, it just happens like that's when everything kind of happens fastest in the end. And then the kid in the end, he's living with his grandparents now.
Yep.
And then the big shocker in the end, spoilers, guys.
Yeah.
Is the grandparents who seem like the sweetest people in the world. It's like they don't even ask what happened to his son. They show the photo, and I'm assuming they're Randy Quaid's parents.
It's got to be because the grandma says he looks just like his father.
Yeah. Even though the dad says, you don't look like me.
Exactly,
you don't sound
which
like
is weird.
Me. You know, you're not like me at all, which I felt like that could have been like a kind of like things are changing in the country, like a symbolic, like, you know, the kids of the 50s are not going to be like people who grew up in the 30s and 40s and like, you know, became adults in the 50s.
Right,
like,
right.
They're going to have different wants and expectations. But the grandparents leave a plate with a big beefy sandwich in the end, and the meat in that sandwich looks suspiciously like the meat that you see throughout the movie, which implying that cannibalism is a fine tradition among that family.
Right. Yeah, you definitely get the feeling that the grandparents are also cannibals, and nothing's changed. The kid's now with old cannibals instead of young cannibals. I did think it was kind of
so nice.
Yeah, they did.
I
Well,
mean, Randy
like I
Quaid's like a
said,
douchebag to him.
yeah, I don't know. I did like when the grandmother said to the grandfather, he looks just like his father. And the grandpa agreed, but then he said his eyes are bigger or something. And I thought that was kind of like funny because like this kid's eyes are wide open. Like Randy Quaid probably grew up just adapting to the way the grandparents were eating people, but this kid's not. He's like his eyes are open to this, and he's like he sees. That's like that red pill, blue pill moment, or the that moment when the kid is wide awake and sees the world for what it is, and he doesn't even seem that phased. He's just like, yeah, shit, this is exactly what I thought was going on, and then he just like rolls over and goes to bed. Right? I mean, like,
and then they play, and then the movie's wacky again with it goes into the ending with the one eye one horn.
yeah,
People leader.
the purple people eater,
like,
yeah.
And then they show like the 50s house, and like Randy Quaid comes out, the mom comes out, the kid comes out, the therapist comes out. It's like really like that. It's funny, and it's like, yeah, I definitely recommend. Like I said, this movie's not that long,
No.
and it's an interest. I consider it, again, like a weird 80s movie artifact.
Oh yeah.
If you have Amazon Prime, well, you're already paying for the fucking service. There's so much worse shit on there.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of garbage on Amazon Prime. This is definitely worth like some time, just for like even just like some of the scenes, like some of the like the way things are shot, even just like the look of it. I just don't see a movie like this being made today.
Well,
like movies aren't going to be. I don't know how movies would be made. No, obviously not. People are pausing right now.
right.
Yeah, movies are just going to be Zoom phone calls.
Yeah.
Avengers 5. It'll just be like Avengers Assemble, and it's just like 35 little screens. Like one screen of Thanos or whatever the film is.
Yeah. And you got like you have Star-Lord showing up without pants.
Well, you wouldn't know because it's a Zoom call.
Well, he stands up and it's revealed that he's not been wearing
pants.
pants.
Like, damn it, Star-Lord, you! Oh, geez, guys.
Well, it is. Yeah, I don't know that this movie.
And then Spider-Man's friend would be there too.
Yeah,
because he's the man in the chair.
Yeah,
he'd be super excited.
This was like a really good movie. It's not great. It's not like.
It's just an interesting. It's well shot. It looks, and like I said, and if you know who Randy Quaid is, you'll like it. And you want to talk about Randy Quaid at all? About like the man, the legend. We talked about him before. Like when we did the Christmas Vacation episode, we talked about him. I mean, he's turned into just like a full-on like internet MAGA nut.
Yeah.
He's like one of these weirdos who like he knows the real inside of Hollywood. Like there's like a grift. It's like a weird thing like that I've noticed over the years with Holly. Like there's this thing that I call it like the MAGA chud circuit.
Yeah.
Like you ever heard of like it's like it's just like different people. You get on if you get on this. There's a way to make money. It's like a different form of entertainment, and you get a different kind of audience. It's the MAGA chud circuit, and I think he's either in on it already, or he's trying to get on it, or he's on the periphery of it. But a lot of that, it has like clowns like obviously Ben Shapiro, Servinovich, or these type of people.
Yeah.
But the one thing they push is this like Hollywood thing, and Hollywood being like it's full, like everyone in Hollywood's Harvey Weinstein basically.
Yeah, sure.
And they're probably not 100% wrong. But I always say this, Hollywood, I worked in different industries, stuff like that. This goes on every fucking where. This isn't just unique to Hollywood. That's just like a thing that feeds into like a conservative agenda to attack Hollywood.
Right.
As if it's like the evil of everything. And like, if you just focus on that, it's like, it's like a weird thing. And he's becoming part of that. Like there's interviews, you can find him on YouTube where he goes on these bizarre rants. And it's kind of sad because he was such a good actor, and I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah, I would say, and again, I forget, maybe it was Randy Quaid we were talking about where I said this. I get the feeling that there's probably something like actually psychologically wrong with him.
Wasn't his wife cuckoo bananas too? Like he married this like crazy lady.
Yeah, I think you're right, but like, there's been a few instances of celebrities where they've just gone off the deep end, and it seems like sad because like sometimes people seem like they're going off the deep end, but they're just horrible people. Like Mel Gibson, like he's just a horrible person. He didn't go off the deep end. He just got drunk one night and revealed himself to be a horrible person.
Right. He made an incredibly anti-Semitic film, and he told everybody he wasn't anti-Semitic when he made the anti-Semitic movie.
Right.
And then 2 years later, when he got caught drunk, he went on an anti-Semitic rant.
Yeah.
That was great.
Right, but like he wasn't crazy. He didn't have like a clinical illness. He was just a horrible person.
He's an asshole.
But like Randy Quaid, I get the feeling that there's probably something like chemically wrong with him or neurologically wrong with him. Do you think, or no?
I don't know. I feel like he could, but like, everybody uses some things and they get new opportunities out of it. And he kind of burned a lot of bridges, especially like he had that weird lawsuit. Like when Brokeback Mountain came out.
Oh yeah.
He had he's one of these actors who's just been in a lot of things, and he's like one of those people who, if you look at his career, you could tell that, like, I don't know if he has the best agent or has a good agent, because he'll star in really good shit and then he'll star in like really bad crap. Like, he'll star in like big budget movies, but then for some fucking reason he does Cousin Eddie's Christmas Vacation,
right?
Which is just some like TV movie garbage and you're just like, what are you doing? You don't need to do this. But it's like one of those, like, maybe he has a mortgage. Who the fuck knows? I don't know why people. I mean, I'm an artist and I get gigs sometimes, and sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do it, but I do it.
Right.
But you don't see my face on it. That's the difference between actors and other jobs. You don't like when you act in something, you are permanently giving yourself. You are in that forever. Like, like people can't get roles because of that. It's like you start in something and then you're forever known as that. It's like you can't. So I don't know. He's like one of those people. He did a ton of stuff. Like I mean, obviously Independence Day is another big one.
Yep.
Where he plays a crazy guy in that, and he's really good in that. And I don't know. He did Brokeback Mountain, and he's not even in it that much. But like, he ended up like suing the company because I guess the way he was sold, he was told was that this was like a low budget art house movie. So he must have took like a low budget art house pay, and it ended up being this mega Hollywood fucking, like, it won Oscars. It won, like, so he probably felt like he got shafted. But, you could have looked at it this way, too. Instead of doing that, he should have been like, hey, I'm attached to this movie. I can go now, now I can go star in, like, Cousin Eddie's diarrhea convention or something.
ID5.
What?
ID5. Right?
Yeah, whatever, whatever. He could have, like, starred in. He could have used this as a launching pad,
Yeah.
Be attached to that. Don't raise a big stink. And just, like, it's like he took some bad advice and he ended up suing. And sometimes that could have a negative effect,
Yeah. It seemed kind of like a Sean Young problem, kind of, like.
A little bit, yeah, or it became one later. And then, like, he was still acting in some things, but then he just started getting crazy and, like, I don't know, he wasn't getting roles anymore. And
Yeah.
he was probably just acting like a lunatic. Like, his wife seems kind of crazy. They released all these kinds of weird videos. They were living in Canada for years.
Yep.
And I don't even know where the fuck they are now, but now he's just, like, he just looks like, if you look up, like, Google, like, since I worked in companies and stuff, I always have to, like, Google search images and stuff for inspiration, or just to get, like, even fucking photos for, you have to pay for them, whatever, for things, and look up, like, crazy homeless man. The first Google image that usually comes up is this crazy homeless man with this big beard, with his mouth open, and he's giving two fingers. That is not Randy Quaid, right? This picture is years old. But Randy Quaid became that guy.
Yeah.
He looks like that guy now. And now he's just putting out these weird videos where they're all MAGA. I'm assuming he's a Trump supporter. I mean, whatever.
He's gotta be. Now he just looks like a homeless Hagrid.
His brother, which I always loved, that growing up, I couldn't believe, though, that Dennis Quaid was Randy Quaid's brother.
Yeah.
I ever said, my mom told me that, like, they were, and I said, do they have different dads? Or do they have different moms? Because what happened there?
Dads.
Well, like, Randy Quaid is a character actor.
Right.
He looks like a character. Well, Dennis Quaid looks like a leading man. So I don't know what happened there in that family.
Yeah. I think that might have been one of those Ferris and Genie situations where they got.
Yeah, Ferris. But you see, like, Dennis Quaid, though, like, so this must be in the family, though. I think they just might just be conservative. That's what, and whatever. Who cares? I don't want to give a shit. But, like, this said something like,
I'll bet your life was pretty easy for Dennis Quaid as a child, and Randy Quaid may have had some struggles.
Being a big, goofy man. Like,
yeah.
Even my two sons, like, the girl comes over, like, high school, and the girl comes over, and Dennis Quaid comes down looking like a football player.
Yeah.
Like a quarterback.
Yeah.
Randy Quaid coming down looking like a mutated linebacker.
The Toxic Avenger.
Toxic Avenger. Yeah. Like, in Ren and Stimpy, when they would, I would call them the gross-ups, and, like, it would be like Ren and Stimpy, but then all of a sudden they would do, like, a zoom in, and you could see, like, this extreme detail, like, Stimpy with, like, boogers and, like, fucking flies around it, and I'd just be like,
yeah. Yeah, like, Dennis Quaid was probably a very handsome guy, and Randy occasionally might have been mistaken for Sloth from the Goonies.
He was originally hired to be in Goonies, but they, I don't know. I can't know. They're like, no, his eyes are too symmetrical, so and he went through the makeup, so they hired somebody else. But his eyes were not symmetrical enough to be Sloth. Like,
we need something more flounderish. We need something.
I don't know what happened to him. I mean, like I said, he's just, like, full on. I feel like at this point, I can't see him coming back.
No. He flew too close to the sun.
There's always somebody out there, and there's somebody who, I mean, like, look at, like, Mickey Rourke.
Oh yeah, that's a good example.
But Mickey Rourke isn't putting out weird things and MAGA shit or anything like that. But, like, his career was, like, pretty much. I mean, it's kind of funny. When he made The Wrestler, they made it sound like his career was completely done. But that's not 100% true, because he just did Sin City, and Sin City was pretty popular.
Yep, he was in Sin City.
He had a big role in that. He was in a couple other things, too. Then he was getting his career back, but they made it sound like he literally was like, it's like they wanted to sell with the movie, because in the movie The Wrestler, he's playing like a a guy who's putting down on his luck. Like
right. Did Iron Man 2 come out before or after The Wrestler?
Afterwards,
Okay.
yeah. Iron Man 2 was his award for being in The Wrestler.
Right. Okay.
It might end up being a punishment.
Yeah. Well, I love Mickey Rourke. I think he's great. He was super good in that movie Barfly, which is Charles Bukowski.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Faye Dunaway. He was amazing in that. With Frank Stallone, another famous MAGA chud.
The bartender. Yeah, he is, right?
He's a total MAGA chud, yeah.
What does he do?
He just mouths off on Twitter, about like right-wing politics. But
he's like, my face is more symmetrical than my brother's, and that's why it's like the reverse. He's actually normal looking. He's
right.
It's like Sylvester Stallone if he was normal looking.
Yeah.
And that by being too normal looking, he doesn't get a Hollywood career.
No, but he was good. Look, he was fine in Barfly. It was very limited.
Yeah, he's always popped up here and there and things.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say.
Scott Baio was another famous MAGA chud. Chachi.
They should all make a movie together. Scott Baio, Frank Stallone, Randy Quaid, Adam Carolla,
right,
and John Voight.
They could be the D team.
The Z team, the Chud team, Team Chud,
Team
Chud. America, the Team Chud.
Just redo Chud.
Team Chud, starring Randy Quaid and no makeup or anything. You don't need to do anything. He looks like a cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller. But it's all of them just going to a Liberate Michigan rally or something. They all get COVID-19 and die.
Coronavirus has mutated to turn you into a chud. They all catch corona at a Liberate Michigan rally.
Did you see? I kind of want to save this stuff for our bonus Patreon stuff. The one of the leaders of which I find it funny that there's leaders to these things, but
they're grassroots.
They are organized, believe it or not, by the Koch brothers.
One of them.
What?
One of them.
Yeah. So it was one of the leaders of the group, North Carolina one, and she was diagnosed with COVID-19.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
She joined the Branch Covidians.
There's an awesome video somebody made, I guess, like where Georgia started opening up or whatever. It was like all these people going into a mall. And they're all wearing the
masks.
The funniest video. You ever seen the Ghana pallbearers?
Yeah.
And it's like, bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
And then like it's just them and they're all serious. And then they're dancing with the casket. And people apply it now to like all these like rallies and shit. They show all these people coming into the mall and you see like the guy playing the saxophone like in the mall. They started intercutting the people going into the mall and the Ghana pallbearers.
Well,
it's not funny.
It's
depressingly hysterical.
I don't know, man. It's rough. Yeah, it is weird to see that intersection of like right-wing celebra culture, MAGA world kind of intersect with these nitwits, and
what's funny about them, which I always find hysterical. Robert Davi's part of that. Gene Simmons is part of that. I think I said John Voight. Kelsey Grammer just looking outside of a window.
Yeah.
Like he's not 100% there.
Right.
He's like, I'm Fraser Crane. I don't want people to think I'm a complete idiot. They always sell this. Oh, James Woods. I forgot. James Woods. And another great actor. James Woods is so good. See, it always bothers me more. Like, Gene Simmons, I don't give a shit.
Right.
Like, when I find out, like, oh, yeah, he's a extreme right-winger jerk, I'm like, I kind of expect that from him.
Yeah.
That's on camera.
Look it up.
Kid Rock.
Anyways.
I expect that from Kid Rock. I expect that from Ted Nugent. I expect that from like certain people. Like James Woods, like he says horrible things, but I still kind of like him. I think he's a great actor.
Yeah.
I expect that from him though, because he's always played a piece of shit.
I loved him in that John Carpenter's Vampires, which was kind of a dopey movie.
Which is not, I would not say that's one of his good movies.
I liked that so much. I thought it was really
I like
good.
him in, if you liked him in that, you might like, well, what was that Tales of the Crypt movie he was in? Not Bordello of Blood. It was the one before that.
No, Dennis Miller was in that one, though.
Yeah, Dennis Miller. I guess there was something, those Tales of the Crypt movies did something to those people and they became right-wingers. Dennis Miller was basically playing the hero role of that movie. And James Woods in the previous one. Something up with that, mate. Who knows?
Hey.
Yeah, Crypt, you know what? It's the Crypt Keeper. The Crypt Keeper.
Yeah.
He's like, I have a spooky tale to like it's a maggot chud.
Oh, fuck.
So like, I can't get mad at James Woods for like, because he always played kind of a douche. Like you ever see like what's that Jodie Foster movie? It's the one with interstellar travel.
Contact.
And he plays like a douchebag politician in that one. You know,
that's a good movie.
If you watch a lot of movies, he played Roy Cohn in an HBO movie, and he's really good in that. Like, I can't get upset at him being an asshole politically because he always played an asshole. So, like, I'm like, whatever. I think what it bothers me more is when someone plays like a hero.
Yeah.
Like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Even though I always knew in the 80s Arnold Schwarzenegger was a Republican. I knew that always.
Yeah.
He was like out and proud about it. He was like skiing with George Bush's dad or something. I don't know. It was weird to find it on there. Or he's Bob's. I don't know. They're on a sled together. It's very strange. Want to go on the sled with me, George? I'm just gonna do Dana Carvey's impression of George Bush because that's like, I'm not gonna do it, you know.
Right.
But like when he ran for governor and stuff, and he got really like real Republican, I like because of the Iraq War and everything going on, like that bothered me because he played all these heroic characters.
He did, yeah.
And I'm like, you are now the bad guy from Total Recall. Like, that's how I see you. Like, so like when I see some of these actors, but Randy Quaid to me is more of like a tragedy. Like there's,
I agree, yeah.
If anything, what he's doing is, if he's trying to get any kind of career going, is that there is a grift, there is like this circuit. If you can get in on this circuit, you'll get on YouTube, you'll get on shows, you'll get paid to be on Fox, you'll get paid to be on these different appearances. Hey, listen, that's what he has to do to make money. I mean, that's fine, as long as it's not hurting anybody. But what I find so funny about these right-wingers from Hollywood or music or whatever, what's the biggest critique that right-wingers have about actors in Hollywood when it comes to politics?
Well, they're all liberal, right? I mean, that's the
And that they always express their opinion.
Oh, yeah.
They get so mad at that. But then they do the same thing, and you're just sitting there like, aren't you doing that like right now? Like Alice Cooper, I remember years ago. He's another like he's a big conservative.
Yeah.
Big time. And you know, he's not as obnoxious about it. But I remember like around when George W. Bush was getting reelected, he was going on this like rant about how like you shouldn't have to, you know, we shouldn't have to listen to the opinions of people or something, like Hollywood or whatever. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, well, what the fuck are you doing right now?
Yeah, on the golf course in Palm Beach.
No, but it's like, you're giving us your opinion right now too, asshole.
Yeah, that's tough to take.
Like, I'm sorry, like, you can't, like me and you, whatever, we're not anything, you know, we can, I'm not saying you're not anything, you're
not understood.
You're not Randy Quaid, okay? None of us are Randy Quaid.
Dare to dream. Oh, fuck. Well,
Or the foot that Randy Quaid eats in Parents.
oh, shit.
Um,
Yeah.
but
It
like,
is weird. Oh, good.
no, go ahead.
It is weird to see his trajectory. You know, I mean, it's a shame because he could have had a long career, but I don't know. I keep going back to the mental illness thing for him, which I think if that is the case, that's a real shame. I don't know.
Did he
It's
though?
tough.
Did they ever confirm that?
I
Was he
have no
doing
idea.
meth or something? Maybe he was doing drugs or some shit.
It could be.
Because the kind of actor that he is, he's not one of those people like Arnold, like Schwarzenegger was a I think later on post governorship, he was able to like kind of find some footing, and now he just does some stuff wherever he can. He's an older man now. He knows he's not going to be doing action hero movies, but like
Right.
after Last Action Hero came out, speaking of, he just started a nosedive. Like
Yeah.
he had like a couple of hits here and there, but it was not the same. After Last Action Hero, it was all downhill.
He's like semi-retired, you know.
Right, but I'm saying like I understood him like, and it's like, what do I do now? And they're like, run for governor. Okay, you know, it's like,
Right.
because it was like he had like he would do like one movie a year, and it was like a big spotlight film, and everything wrote. It was like he was the special effect. It's like, no, he was. I mean,
Yeah.
Jurassic Park came out that year and killed him. I mean, he never recovered after that.
Yeah.
But like Randy Quaid is the kind of actor that where he can star in anything, and he should be somebody who should still be showing up in things today. He could be popping up on TV shows. He could be popping up in serious comedies. He could be popping up in all kinds of things. He's that kind of actor. You remember the movie Freaked?
Yeah.
Like he's great in that. That's an insane movie. I'll talk about that one day. But like, I don't. So something must have happened to him.
I would think so.
Because his career is like he's one of those people who, if you look at his career path and everything as an actor, he should be still working today, and he could, like I said, he could literally star in anything. He could be on a show on Netflix or Amazon.
Oh yeah.
You know, popping up in a movie or guest starring on like fucking Superstore or something.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
yeah, right.
No, but like that's the kind of actor he is and was, and I don't know. It's like he shit the bed. Like I feel like if I was able to get a job in Hollywood as an actor, I would almost want to be a character actor.
Oh yeah.
You're it's like your career doesn't expire.
No.
There's always something for you.
Mm-hmm. Leading roles will recede. There's always the new hot thing, but you'll be like the familiar piece that they can plug and play in any number of things. And it's probably
a janitor. He'll play the fucking guy, the boss in the office. He'll play, he could have gotten like a role on some show. I mean, especially with streaming going on today.
Right.
There's so much shit out there, but it's like something happened to him, and now he's like competing for like a spot with O.J. Simpson or something on Twitter. Like, who will get more hits and retweets? I have a prediction about O.J.
What is it?
Do you know how he has like a Twitter feed and he posts things?
Yeah.
People see it and they're just like, at first they're like mortified, but like he's got a shit ton of followers. This is my prediction because I used to work in licensing. And I already know some companies. I'm not going to name them.
Yeah.
I just know what they're thinking. They already been talking to agents. In a couple of years, you will see O.J. Simpson stuff in stores.
Oh, I can see that.
A T-shirt says like the juice is loose or something.
Right. Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Like it's like, it's kind of funny, It's like he just becomes like especially in like a post-Trump world where like morality is kind of took a side step, It's not that important anymore. So I think I don't know, like I wish I love Randy Quaid as an actor. I do.
Yeah, I do too.
Like, ever since I saw him as a kid in the the most famous SNL skit, Digits.
Fuck.
I like, part of me is like, do you think he could come back in any form?
Yeah,
Or do you think right now, I don't think so with where he's going.
yeah, I don't think so. Are you asking, is there any, yeah, there's like a 1% chance or whatever. It just seems like super unlikely. Honestly, it seems like he's the kind of person that, I'm not saying he would die of a drug overdose or anything, but like he'd show up dead and they would just say natural causes. You know what I mean? He seems like in a real bad state, and it's a shame.
Yeah, it's too bad. Like I said, I really do believe that like he's the kind of actor whose career would not expire. He could have worked till he could have been like fucking in anything up to his like 80s if he lives that long, or 90s. I mean, like, he's one of those people that like with like a long extensive career. There's a great video you can watch, Joe Blow. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, it's a YouTube channel. So if you guys hear this, Joe Blow, I'm plugging you. You guys plug us. We're even. You guys, if you guys plug, we're giving you the same amount of juice right now.
Quid pro quo.
Yeah, quid pro quo. Come on, worked out for other people.
Yeah.
But they do like a good extensive list of what he's in, and you'd be shocked like how much stuff he's in. Like the guy was, I think he was up for an Oscar. He's just one of those
fixture.
What?
He's a fixture, yeah.
And it's like, it's a shame. It's like when I see people like we listed all those names like Scott Baio and all them, but it's like they're assholes. Like Ricky Gervais is was on the periphery. I feel like he's smarter than that though.
Oh yeah, I do too.
He makes good content. Like he just did a show on Netflix.
Yeah, I still gotta watch season 2. Season 1 was amazing.
Season 2 is awesome too.
Cool.
And it's like he's just an idiot who says dumb shit on Twitter, and you see what problem is like those people need to be careful is they get liked by the wrong people, and then everyone else starts to assume that like it's like Donald Trump Jr. like I'm gonna follow you now, Ricky Gervais. It's like getting like, oh cool, now I have like a malignant cyst on my ass that might turn into a thank you. This may sound okay for this second, but this is not good for me. I'm going to try to distance myself from Donald Trump Jr.'s endorsement. But yeah, it sucks because like I said, we listed all those people, and like, but he could have been like one of those. It's like Paul Giamatti's a good example. He's one of those people who would show up in anything. I'm trying to think, like, there's a whole list of like freaking Ed Asner is another one of those actors.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's like still acting. The man's like 1,000 years old.
To a lesser extent, like a Gene Hackman. I mean, I know that's not
Gene Hackman retired years ago.
Yeah, but like back when he was doing stuff, you could plug him in a lot of different things and he would work.
I think the last movie he did was like Mooseport or something, and it like was so terrible that it made him quit acting. He said, I think he became a writer. I guess he just saw himself getting too old. He didn't want to be He didn't want to get too old. I guess some people, it's like Jack Nicholson, same thing. Like he hasn't started anything in like, I would say probably, fuck it. It's been over 10 years since Jack Nicholson did anything.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Sean Connery, same thing. But again, those are like leading men, Sean Connery and Jack Nicholson. I'm talking about like character actors. And I feel like I have a couple of them on the tip of my brain here, but it's like I know a good example. You ever watch Succession?
Yeah.
Brian Cox.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
More serious actor than obviously Randy Quaid. But like somebody who's like, no, it's like, it's somebody who you've seen in so much shit for years.
Mm-hmm.
Another example, like the guy from, it's funny, we just talked about Vampire's Kiss, and I said that guy was a small part in Vampire's Kiss, and then he got big in Best in Show.
Oh, yeah.
And you just see this guy pop up in everything. Like he'll just, out of nowhere he'll be on a TV show. It's just the kind of career path. And yeah, I don't know. I consider him like probably one of the bigger tragedies out there.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I mean, obviously there's worse cases for, there's other people
yes.
who had much worse lives than him.
Yes, but it is sad because I guess to wrap it back to the show topic. I mean, this was a great, like, if you want to know why people have like an affection for Randy Quaid as it used to be, this isn't a bad movie to start with. I mean, it's not, you're not getting classic recipe Randy Quaid, but you're getting like, I think this is a really good role for him. He's creepy, he's intense,
it's like, I hope there was a way for him to get back. I don't think he's, from what I heard, him and his wife were like on the run, like escaping like the IRS, was he living in Canada? Like, they're not doing that great financially. From what I hear, I don't know his stuff, but yeah, I mean.
No, I've actually heard the same thing. I think they're living out of an RV, and it would not surprise me if you wake up tomorrow morning, the next morning, maybe a couple mornings after this first appears, and Randy's in your front yard.
And he's dumping out toxic sewage into my sewer, saying shitter's full.
Shitter's full.
And I would say, thank you. And actually, you know what? That could be a good career path where he becomes, like, around Christmas time, he shows up. This could be a good way to make money, where he'll show up in front of your house with an RV, dumping shit into your sewer and saying shitter's full.
I think that is probably a mid-tier Patreon reward for him. Like if he...
I could see him do really well with that, and he could totally do it.
Yes, for a pledge of like $3 a month, he'll leave a voicemail
$3.
message.
I would hope more than that.
For a pledge of $5 a month,
$3, Randy Quaid
will empty out his septic tank.
With $3, he'll drive all the way from where the fuck he is and dump his feces into your fucking sewer.
He did well here.
Watching this movie, and I got like Shining vibes from that.
Yeah.
It's like, how come this movie isn't like, we're talking about parents, kind of took a sidetrack here, but how come this movie, why is it not celebrated as much today? I mean, yeah, it's not, maybe because it's just not the greatest movie,
Yeah, I think it's just because at the end of the day, with The Shining, you could argue about like 10 different points.
And it's Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, Kubrick.
King.
Right, or Stephen King. There's a lot of stuff there that you could argue about. But with this, at the end of it, you're like, well, what was the point? And you can kind of pull together a few threads of like, well, maybe he was... But at the end of the day, this was more like mood and tone and anxiety, and it did a really good job of showing those, abstract emotions, whereas The Shining was more about like, no, they're talking about alcoholism, or they're talking about family structure, or they're talking about, like you could grab stuff more and talk about The Shining in more concrete terms.
Yeah, this movie, I mean, when you watch it all of a sudden, in the end of the day, I mean, the plot is really thin. It's just like the kid is seeing things, and it's like, okay, yeah, his parents are cannibalism. It's like, I mean, not to say that's not a big deal, but it's like, I mean, it's not that big of a reveal. It's not like, it's not like they're cannibalism because they worship the devil. Then all of a sudden it's like Rosemary's Baby. It's just, they're cannibals. That's what they do. And then the big shock in the end is they got it from the grandparents.
I guess it was just a good horror movie. I mean, horror movies don't have to have a point. They're more about catharsis. They're going to fill you up with this stuff so you can get it out of your body. And that's what this is. This isn't making a social point or a commentary. It's
it makes some social points with the 50s and like the whole,
a little bit, but like no more than family. Yeah, no more than you could make like in 30 seconds. I mean, like.
Well, it's like, okay, so like the dad, and we'll wrap this up. The dad is, like, okay, he's a cannibal, right?
Yeah.
But what he does for a living is worse.
Right. Yeah, I guess that is kind of a good point.
I mean, when you watch the movie, you're like sitting there and you're like, yeah, I guess he eats people and that's bad, but most of the time they're already dead already.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what he does for a living is like on a much broader scale, 10 times, like a billion times worse.
His day job at Toxico is far worse than his cannibalism.
Yes.
It is.
That's what we come to, guys.
The stuff that's wide out in the open and that everyone celebrates, the fact that he's making fucking Agent Orange is a million times worse than eating some leftover dead dude. It's
socially acceptable.
Yeah. That's funny.
And it's commendable. Like, hey, he's working for this company, he works for the government or whatever. That's acceptable.
True.
But and I'm wondering if there's like, if we ever able to get in touch with Mr. Balaban, Sir Balaban. When you made this movie, did you intend to show that his career was worse than his cannibalism? And he'd be like, my God, you two, you are the only people who got what I was trying to convey.
Yeah, it'll be like the Willy Wonka speech at the end of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yes. No, he's like, all you idiots and fools and plebes needed the Purple People Eater song in the end to make you feel good.
Yeah.
When it was the monster was the company, not the cannibalism.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
like
Balaban.
I'm glad that's kind of like our final note, is because I think that's like a really good point. You know, that's the real irony of the film, is that they were horrible, shitty people because of what they were doing. Not the cannibalism was like besides the point.
It was just like,
it was the least worst thing about them.
Yeah, it's like finding out like a war criminal did some sex stuff, but the war criminal killed like millions of people.
They should have done more cannibalism and taken time away from their day jobs, and they would have been better. They would have been
more people would have survived.
Yeah,
and it's like
eat more dudes.
Choice of two evils here.
All right.
But that's what our elections all come down to in the end.
Yeah.
This is the movie Parents.
Oh, fuck.
Parents is a perfect analogy for 2020.
Yeah. All right. Well,
all right. Well, on that note.
Yes.
I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that?
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGOAT, Facebook, YSGOAT, and Twitter, YSGOAT. Thank you, and have a great day.